Have you ever looked at your bank account and wondered if you accidentally signed up for a subscription service called Broke Life Premium? You know the feeling. You work hard, you think you're being responsible with money, yet somehow that magical six-figure savings goal feels about as realistic as becoming a professional unicorn trainer. Sound familiar? Well, what if I told you that saving your first $100,000 isn't some mythical achievement reserved for people who discovered Bitcoin in 2009 or inherited money from a rich uncle you never knew existed? The truth is, once you crack the code on how wealthy people actually think about money, that six-figure savings goal becomes way more achievable than you think. And here's the kicker. The first 100,000 is actually the hardest part. After that, your money starts working harder than you do, and the next 100,000 comes significantly faster. My name is Alex, and I've spent years figuring out why some people effortlessly build wealth while others stay stuck in the financial hamster wheel, making decent money but never getting ahead. If you're tired of feeling broke despite working hard and you want proven strategies that actually work, make sure to hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to share could completely transform how you think about building wealth. Now, before we dive into the specific tactics, let me be brutally honest about something. Most people approach saving money like they approach New Year's resolutions. They start with massive enthusiasm, maybe even see some initial progress, but then reality hits and they're back to their old habits within a few months. The problem isn't lack of willpower or motivation. The problem is they're trying to fill a bucket that has holes in the bottom. Think about it this way. You could work overtime every week and pick up side gigs, but if you haven't fixed the fundamental leaks in your financial system, you'll just keep spinning your wheels. It's like trying to lose weight by exercising more while completely ignoring what you eat. You might see some progress, but you're making it way harder than it needs to be. The wealthy understand something that most middle-class people completely miss. Building wealth isn't about making massive sacrifices or living like you're broke. It's about making strategic decisions that compound over time. Every dollar you save today becomes multiple dollars in the future, but only if you know how to set up the right systems. Here's what's really wild about reaching that first 100,000 milestone. It's not just another number in your bank account. It's the point where compound interest stops being this abstract concept you read about and becomes a real force in your financial life. Once your investments start generating thousands of dollars in returns each year, you begin to understand why wealthy people seem to get richer without working harder. But getting to that point requires you to think differently about money than you probably ever have before. Most people focus on the small stuff while completely ignoring the big opportunities. They'll spend an hour researching the best deal on a phone case to save $10, but they'll leave thousands of dollars on the table because they don't understand how taxes work or they're paying ridiculous fees on their investments. Throughout this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact strategies that can accelerate your savings rate without making you feel like you're living in financial prison. Some of these tactics might challenge everything you've been taught about money. Others might seem obvious when I first mention them, but I guarantee you're not implementing them correctly. Let's start with something that's going to save you way more money than you probably realize. I'm talking about understanding how taxes actually work and using that knowledge to keep more of what you earn. Now, before your eyes glaze over thinking this is going to be boring tax advice, stick with me because this could literally save you thousands of dollars every single year. Here's the thing that blows my mind. Taxes are probably one of your biggest expenses, right up there with housing and transportation, yet most people put more thought into choosing their morning coffee than they do into minimizing their tax burden. It's like voluntarily paying extra for everything you buy, just because you didn't bother to look for the discount that was sitting right there in front of you. Tax-advantaged accounts like traditional IRAs and 401ks are basically the government giving you a discount on building wealth. When you contribute to these accounts, you reduce your taxable income dollar for dollar. So if you're making $60,000 a year and you contribute $10,000 to your 401k, you only pay taxes on $50,000 of income. Let me break this down with real numbers because the math here is absolutely incredible. Let's say you're in the 22% tax bracket. Every $1,000 you contribute to a traditional 401k saves you $220 in taxes. That means you only need to come up with $780 out of your actual take-home pay to make a $1,000 investment. The government is essentially giving you a discount on building wealth, and most people are too busy complaining about taxes to take advantage of it. But here's where it gets even better. Most employers offer matching contributions to your 401k, which is literally free money that millions of Americans leave on the table every single year. If you're not maxing out your employer match, you're basically telling your boss you don't want a raise. Think about how insane this is. If your employer offers a 50% match on your contributions up to 6% of your salary, They're giving you an immediate 50% return on your investment before the stock market even gets involved. Let's say you make $50,000 a year and your employer matches 50 cents for every dollar, up to 6% of your salary. You could contribute $3,000 and your employer would add another $1,500. That's $1,500 of completely free money that you get just for participating. Show me another investment that guarantees you a 50% return on day one. The crazy part is that people will spend hours researching the best deal on a new laptop to save $50, but they'll leave thousands of dollars in employer matching on the table because they think they can't afford to contribute to their 401k. Now, let's talk about creating additional income streams that are specifically designed to accelerate your wealth building. Notice I didn't say get a second job or work more hours at your current job. I said create additional income streams, and there's a massive difference between these two approaches. The traditional advice is to live below your means, which basically translates to making your life smaller so you can save more money. But there's another approach that's way more powerful and a lot more enjoyable. Instead of trying to squeeze every penny out of your current income, focus on bringing in more money that goes directly toward your investment goals. The beauty of this strategy is that it doesn't feel like deprivation. You're not cutting back on the things you enjoy. You're just creating extra money that was never part of your regular budget in the first place. It's like finding money in your couch cushions, except instead of finding $20, you're finding hundreds or thousands of dollars every month. This could be freelancing in your area of expertise, starting a small side business that operates on evenings and weekends, or monetizing a skill you already have. The key is to treat this extra income differently than your regular paycheck. Your regular income covers your living expenses and lifestyle. This extra income has one job and one job only: building wealth. When you separate these two income streams mentally, it becomes much easier to save aggressively without feeling like you're making sacrifices. You're not taking money away from your current lifestyle. You're adding money that goes directly toward your future financial freedom. So, here's what I want you to do right now. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these strategies resonated with you the most. Are you leaving employer matching on the table, or have you never thought about creating additional income streams specifically for investing? I read every single comment, and your feedback helps me create even better content for you. But here's where most people completely mess this up, and it's costing them tens of thousands of dollars without them even realizing it. They create that extra income stream, see the money hitting their account, and then they treat it like regular spending money. They upgrade their lifestyle, buy nicer stuff, and before they know it, they're back to square one, except now they're working more hours for the same financial result. The people who actually build wealth with side income have a completely different mindset. They automate that extra money straight into investments before they even have a chance to spend it. They set up systems where that freelance check or side business profit gets transferred directly to their brokerage account the moment it hits their bank. No temptation, no second guessing, just automatic wealth building. Now let's talk about something that's going to test your patience, but it's absolutely crucial if you want to maximize your investment returns. I'm talking about reinvesting every single dividend and capital gain distribution instead of treating them like bonus money you can spend. I know this sounds boring, and trust me, it feels amazing when you see those dividend payments hitting your account. It's like your investments are paying you a salary for being smart enough to own them. But here's what most people don't understand about the real power of dividend reinvestment. When you take those dividend payments and buy more shares instead of spending them, you're essentially getting more dividend paying assets, which will pay you even more dividends in the future. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, getting bigger and faster as it goes. The math on this is absolutely mind-blowing. Let me give you some real numbers that might shock you. Over the past century, the stock market has averaged about 10% annual returns when dividends are reinvested. But if you had taken those dividends as cash instead of reinvesting them, your average return would have been only around 6.5%. That 4% difference might not sound like much, but over 30 years of investing, it's literally the difference between having a comfortable retirement and wondering if you can afford to retire at all. This is one of those strategies that requires you to think long-term and resist the temptation of instant gratification. Every time you get a dividend payment, you have a choice. You can either spend it on something that will be forgotten in a few weeks, or you can use it to buy more wealth-generating assets that will pay you dividends for decades to come. Here's another strategy that might sound boring, but could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your investing lifetime. I'm talking about minimizing investment fees and expenses. Most people have absolutely no idea how much they're actually paying in fees, or how dramatically these costs can impact their long-term wealth. Investment fees are like a silent tax on your returns. They might seem small on an annual basis, but they compound just like your investments do, except they compound against you. A fund that charges 1% in annual fees versus a fund that charges 0.1% might not seem like a big deal, but over 30 years, that extra 0.9% in fees can cost you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost returns. The crazy thing is that in today's market, you don't have to pay high fees to get excellent investment options. Index funds that track the same market are basically identical products regardless of which company offers them. So there's absolutely no reason to pay more for the same thing. It's like choosing between two identical cars where one costs $30,000 and the other costs $35,000. Why would you pay more for the exact same product? When you're building your first $100,000, every single dollar counts, and every dollar you save on fees is a dollar that can compound and grow over time. This is one of those areas where a little bit of research up front can literally save you tens of thousands of dollars over your investing lifetime. Now let's talk about something that's going to challenge everything you've been told about being a smart investor. I'm talking about resisting the urge to constantly buy and sell your investments based on market movements or financial news. I know this sounds counterintuitive because we're surrounded by financial media that makes it seem like successful investing is all about timing the market perfectly and making clever trades. But that's complete nonsense, and the data proves it beyond any doubt. Here's the brutal reality that nobody wants to admit. The average investor who tries to time the market consistently underperforms the market itself by several percentage points annually. Think about what happens when people try to be clever with their investments. The market drops 10% and suddenly they're convinced this is the beginning of the next Great Depression. They sell everything, feeling smart for limiting their losses. Then the market recovers and goes up 20%, but they're still sitting in cash waiting for the right time to get back in. By the time they finally convince themselves it's safe to invest again, they've missed most of the recovery. The math here is absolutely brutal. If you miss just the 10 best days in the stock market over a 30-year period, your returns get cut almost in half. And here's the kicker. Those best days often happen right after the worst days, when everyone is panicking and selling. So the people who are trying to be smart by avoiding the bad days end up missing the good days too. When you're building your first $100,000, your job is simple. Put money in consistently and leave it alone. Let the market do what it does best, which is grow over time. Some years will be great, some years will be terrible, and most years will be somewhere in between. But if you stay the course and keep feeding the machine, you'll be amazed at what compound growth can accomplish. This brings us to actually choosing the right investments, and this is where most people either overthink it to death or don't think about it at all. Both approaches will cost you serious money. On one hand, you've got people who spend hours researching individual stocks, trying to find the next Amazon or Apple, usually ending up with a portfolio that looks like they threw darts at the financial section of a newspaper. On the other hand, you've got people who just put their money wherever their coworker told them to, or worse, they leave it sitting in a savings account earning basically nothing. Here's the truth about investment selection when you're starting out. Your goal should be solid, consistent growth, not hitting home runs. You're not trying to get rich quick. You're trying to get rich for sure. The best way to do this is by investing in broad market index funds, particularly those that track the S&P 500. This gives you ownership in about 500 of the largest, most successful companies in America, all in one simple investment. Think about what this actually means. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you own a piece of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and hundreds of other companies that are making money hand over fist. These aren't speculative bets on the next big thing. These are established businesses with proven track records of creating wealth for their shareholders. Look, building your first $100,000 isn't about getting lucky or having some secret advantage. It's about understanding these fundamental strategies and actually implementing them consistently. Tax optimization, employer matching, side income streams, dividend reinvestment, low fees, staying the course, and choosing solid investments. These aren't complicated concepts, but they're incredibly powerful when you use them together. Your future self will thank you for every smart decision you make today. Drop a comment below and tell me which strategy you're going to implement first. And yes, do subscribe only and only if this video helped you.